that Islam is consistent with the Constitution?
No, I don't. I do not. I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, filling in for Steve today. With me is Armstrong Williams. He's the business manager for Dr. Ben Carson, and he's the host of The Right Side with Armstrong Williams, and executive editor of American CurrentSee magazine, and a friend of mine, and an extremely handsome man. I love doing that to you. Armstrong, Dr. Carson, I read today that he has raised a significant amount of funds for his campaign since making those comments. Is that true?
Well, you know, the response is overwhelming. The extraordinary bump in his social media, yeah, it's all true. You know, Dennis, is while we're pleased with the outpouring of support from Americans all over this country, given the fact that Dr. Carson spoke an inconvenient truth in his interview with Chuck Todd of Meet the Press. You know, it saddens him that we've gotten to a point when we witnessed this radical Islam, this Sharia law, their disrespect and abuse of women. They're willing to kill homosexuals for their sexual preference. They're willing to kill their own and massacre Muslims because they don't adhere if they commit adultery. I mean, you have brothers killing sisters because they feel they disrespect their family. Daniel Pearlman was beheaded. You have the Washington Post journalist who's still in an Iranian jail. And all these other jihadists and activities around the world, what's going on with ISIS. There's something that happens when you realize how people hijack one's religion, and in the name of Allah, you commit these crimes, these horrific crimes. And so I think what Dr. Carson tapped into, unfortunately, is the fact that there are many Americans who would not advocate having a Muslim as president of the United States. And it's unfortunate that because of the fear, because many of us are still reminded of 9/11, that we feel this way and feel very strongly. And,
hey, man, let me say, I lived 9/11. I lived it firsthand. You know that. I watched my fellow Americans jump from 80 stories high. And so I'm not surprised that he's seeing a pop in support. And you know what? I think, you know, having met Dr. Carson, I mean, it's just like honesty just pours out of this man. And at the end of the day, he has always been standing on the fact that we have to stop being politically correct. And I think he's sticking consistent with his message.
You know, listen, let me tell you something. It's tough. It's easy for politicians because, you know, they say what is necessary, what the voters want to hear. Dr. Carson always says that he's going to tell the truth. You know, and in telling the truth, sometimes people are hurt. And that's never his intention. He would never want a Muslim kid who's in this country, whose parents have the right values, the right belief system, reject Sharia law, reject the tenets of Islam that is in contradiction to our U.S. Constitution. He would never want that kid to believe that they could not aspire someday to become president of the United States.
I don't doubt that for 1 second. Yeah. I do want to let me ask you something else about him before we run out of time. I got about a minute 10 left. You know, the one knock on Dr. Carson, and I'm not sure how fair it is. Maybe you know it best, knowing him for 20 years. They say he's not tough. He's not a fighter. He's not gonna stand up. He's a swell, nice guy. He's like Mr. Rogers. Is that Dr. Carson? I mean, has this guy got the ability to stand up and fight when he needs to?
Did he not stand up to the president at the prayer breakfast and stood toe-to-toe with he and his wife sitting there and told him what he thought about affordable care and where he's taking this country?
Listen,
did he?
Yeah, he did.
Was he unapologetic about how he felt with Chris on Chuck Todd on Sunday? I mean, this is the Dr. Carson who introduced himself to America by standing up and showing his backbone and showing his courage and showing his leadership.
You know, it's funny you say that, Armstrong. Growing up, I used to have a lot of fist fights, unfortunately. You know, I grew up in a semi-tough neighborhood, and it was always the silent guy who wound up giving you the greatest beating. It was the guy who waved his hands around and everything else like that who usually ran for the hills. Well, listen to me. It's great seeing you. I'll see you tomorrow. And
yes.
Thanks for being on. Up next, the second panel of the day joins me. We'll be talking about Facebook censorship. You don't want to miss this. But first, watch this. As the Pope's historic visit to the United States continues to dominate the headlines, more and more Americans are asking, who is Pope Francis? As always, Newsmax has got you covered. Learn more about Pope Francis and his humble rise to the Vatican in the book, Francis, A Pope for Our Time. Get this special offer right now at newsmax.com/pope or by calling 800-203-7047. Learn about the personal experiences that shaped Pope Francis's pastoral commitment to society's most underprivileged and disenfranchised with this hardcover biography from Newsmax. Order right now at newsmax.com/pope or call 800-203-7047.